30 years ago today, on March 7th, 1995, I walked into a local Fargo record store. I think it was called Disc and Tape, and bought a copy of the new Warrant album, Ultraphobic. And while that album left a lot of people hanging, I always felt a really close connection to Ultraphobic. And it's hard to explain why, but I think this is the reason. I think the lyrics on Ultraphobic actually show you Jani Lane's life falling apart. And to be honest, at the time that album came out, the same thing was happening to my life. Today, I'm going to take you back to 1995 and the Warrant album, Ultraphobic.
The hair metal guru from Warrant to crew. The hair metal guru, never forget Charlie too.
Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. And yes, today we're going to talk about Warrant's Ultraphobic album. And look, I even have my original 1995 Warrant Ultraphobic shirt. I hate that they didn't put like there is like a logo on the back. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I'll try to get a picture of it. The shirt fits like shit because it's an XL, but I'm 6'3", so it's like short as shit. But I decided to put it on and represent it to talk about this album. And hopefully the intro wasn't too dark and shit. But it's a dark fucking album. And yes, when I bought that thing, my life was just getting ready to fall apart. And it's okay because I got out of it. But when I look at that album, it's hard for me not to think about Jani Lane. And, he made it another 1995 to 2011, another, what is that, 10, shit, I'm not a math major, another 16 years, but you knew I knew when that album came out, those lyrics were the sign of somebody falling apart. And it was heartbreaking, because he was my musical idol. I got to spend so much time with those guys on like the Ultraphobic tour, the Belly to Belly tour. So anyway, so I want to take some time to talk about Ultraphobic, maybe talk about some of the songs that really mattered to me, and just hopefully encourage people who maybe listen to a couple songs and were like, oh, this is fucking Warrant doing grunge, and bailed, and maybe encourage you to go back and give it another shot, because when Jani Lane, those lyrics were honest. He wasn't faking that. He wasn't trying to be, okay, hey, I'm going to write dark lyrics and be grunge. He was writing dark lyrics because everything was going to shit for him. And so to me, that makes this album mean much more. And yes, it does have a grunge influence, but you also hear the melody and the sense of how to write a fucking chorus that will grab you, how to, play with words and make shit just go, oh my gosh, I can't believe he came up with that. So the guy was an amazing songwriter, and this is the album. When I listen to Warrant, I go to Dog Eat Dog and I go to Ultraphobic. I listen to Ultraphobic dramatically more than I listen to Cherry Pie or Dirty Rotten Filthy Stinking Rich. When I look at those albums, and I love those albums, I feel like, a kid again, and which is great, and I love that. But when I think about, what really impacted me, on a deeper level, Ultraphobic and Dog Eat Dog are where I go. So, I brought out a couple things. Here is an old ad, and this album came out on CMC, and when when bands like Slaughter and Warrant and Dokken and shit LA Guns were getting dropped by their major labels, CMC was picking everybody up and saying, hey, come with us and you can write the album that you, from what everything I heard, they weren't pressuring people to write in a certain style. I've heard that they wanted people to write, like they were doing back when they were massive, like they probably wanted Warrant to record Cherry Pie Part 2, but they weren't going to do that. So anyway, I appreciate that CMC was giving these artists another chance. So you will see, it says, great artists make great music, period. I know it's kind of hard to see there. Warrant Ultraphobic, the new album on sale. It says February 28th, 1995. And everything that I'm seeing online says March 7th, 1995. So there's some sort of, maybe they put this ad out and it got delayed a week. So I don't know exactly, but that's kind of what I'm guessing. Featuring the debut single, Family Picnic. So original ad. And I got this at a concert, and I'm shocked I didn't get it on. No one, I don't want to say, it's not like I met the band ever. I saw them so many times in the mid 90s. They came to Fargo and Minneapolis like many times over the course of the year. And I lived in Fargo and I would drive to Minneapolis. I had a bunch of college friends, so we saw them just a ton. But it's not like every show I got to hang out with the band. So I was like, shit, it's not autographed. I do have a bunch of CDs that are autographed. Anyway, this is the album flat. And I've grown to love it. But now, I kind of like, I think it's kind of, the lead single was called Family Picnic, and it's about a kid who gets abused by his father, and there ends up being a murder. Maybe we'll get into that more later. So, but really the album cover is kind of lame. I've grown to love it, but looking back, I can say, and a lot of the CMC albums, album covers were shit. LA Guns, American Hardcore, the Saigon Kick album, Devil in the Details. That album cover sucked. So, and then I also got this, a large, I think it's 24 by 30 inch poster for the album. So, I remember the day that I bought it, because I worked at a bar. It was called Grandma's Saloon and Grill in Fargo, North Dakota. And I'd started working there that year. And that is also the place where I really started to get my drinking on. But anyway, maybe we'll get more into that later. But I went and bought the album and I had to go work. So I go to Grandma's and I'm like holding the CD and looking at it. And I'm like, fuck, I can't wait to listen to this. And I remember a girl that worked with me, coming and sitting down, and she was like, what do you got? And I'm like, it's the new Warrant album. And this is 1995. So what does she say? Like, isn't that the Cherry Pie band? And she's still a good friend of mine. But that's what people were saying. And they were rolling their eyes, talking about Warrant. Like, oh, well, yeah, that's one of those glam bands. And that isn't like a real band, like the shit that we're listening to now. That isn't like Pearl Jam and fucking Soundgarden and whatever. Those guys are party rock. And people just, they looked at like a band like Warrant almost with disgust. But I'm like, look, this, I was talking about like Dog Eat Dog and how that, probably trying to explain that Warrant was more mature now and trying to justify why people should still like Warrant, because I did that a lot. Even at parties, I would play shit like this, and I would be like, look, Just because they're not on the top of the heap doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't awesome and you should give it a shot. Anyway, so I spend a few minutes justifying why I had to go buy, I had to make a special trip to buy the new Warrant album. And I remember her explicitly saying, she goes, geez, the way you talk about this, it seems like you're talking like about a family member. And in a way, like looking back, that's kind of how I looked at, I looked at like Janie Lane and those guys as if, their music meant so much to me that yes, I felt like they were my band, and I was so close to the music and the band. I probably at this point, maybe met them once or twice. And in the coming year would meet them and get on stage, and shortly after that album came out, I ended up getting Stronger Now tattooed on, I'm sure you've maybe seen it before, but tattooed on my shoulder, because I'd remembered in interviews, Warrant was still getting covered in like Metal Edge, maybe a little bit here and there in Hit Parader and Circus. But I remember Janie Lane saying like that Stronger Now was the best song he'd ever written. And I was like, fuck, and the last time I'd heard him say that was about I Saw Red. And I have I Saw Red tattooed on my arm. And so I was just so jazzed about this. Anyway, that's what I recall about the first day buying this album. So I'll be honest, when I brought it home and listened to it, I was probably like everybody else. At first, I was like, what the fuck is this? What's all the grunge shit? Because yes, it's not straight up grunge, but the guitars are down tuned or whatever, I don't fucking play guitar, but much lower and crunchier. The lyrics are fucking dark. And it sounds like Warrant doing grunge. And I was pissed right away, but it's such a different time. Like nowadays, when I listen to an album, if it doesn't grab me right away, and I hate that this is where we are, at least where I am with music, is if something doesn't grab me right away, I don't give it the time that I used to, like back in the day, I'd say, fuck, I spent $13 on this CD. Like, I need to find some good shit because I don't want to waste my money. So I'd play it over and over and over again to give it a chance. Now, you have all your music. Fuck, I have Apple Music. I have, you have YouTube. So you don't got to spend the money. So, if you don't give it a shot, who cares? You're not out anything. But back in the day, I wanted to give this a shot. So for the next couple days, I listened and listened and listened. And slowly, it started to grab me. No, Stronger Now grabbed me right away. Because it's a great fucking ballad. And, so I'd gotten I Saw Red, and maybe I'll just start talking about Stronger Now, because I don't have any fucking notes. I'm just going from here and maybe down there. No, I'm just fucking with you. So I knew right the first time I heard Stronger Now that was something that was special and deserved. You're like, please, somebody on radio, somebody important, talk about this song so the word gets out. And I tried, I was nobody. I'm nobody now, but I mean, at least now I can maybe put out a video and get a few people to listen to it. But back then, you needed to be somebody on radio or on MTV, and it just wasn't going to happen. But that song grabbed me. So I'll just really quickly, I'm sure I've talked about this before, but my first love that I had in high school, and, it was more infatuation, but at the time you think like shit, you're madly in love. You're like, you're just convinced this is the person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and it ended suddenly, not exactly like what happened in I Saw Red. I didn't walk in on her banging some other dude or some other chick, okay? But, just unexpectedly ended. And I Saw Red really, the feelings he was talking about in that song really explained what I felt like, So I got the song tattooed on my arm. Well, then when Ultraphobic comes out and I listen to Stronger Now, and it's a song about somebody who's like, talking about, hey, I'm getting over something that almost killed me. And this is going to make me stronger now. And I'm thankful for what I had to go through. And so I wanted that to be true for me. I wanted to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to move on. Things are going to be great. I'm stronger. I'm better. And I'm sure that's what Janie Lane wanted too. And unfortunately for both of us, that wasn't the case. We didn't move on and become stronger and everything was fine after that. Both of us sank into alcohol. But that song just explained exactly what it was like to have your heart ripped from your chest and to get past that and to hopefully feel like you could move on. And if you never listened to Stronger Now, go do that now. Stop the video and then come back. Please come back. So Stronger Now is what grabbed me right away. So I need to get the songs list so I can have them up here. Now the first single was the song Family Picnic, and it got a video. And you can tell, like, Janie doesn't look as good as he did in the Dog Eat Dog years. And I'm not like trying to like shit, but obviously the alcohol and things were he had gained weight. He looked puffy. It's not like he looked horrible, but he had looked like a rock god when the Machine Gun video came out on Dog Eat Dog, and now he's starting to not look so great. But the song, I don't know if I would have picked Family Picnic as a first single. And I got to go get Charlie. You got big boobies. Yeah, go sit on the couch and rest your boobies because you got 8 boobies. So Family Picnic is the first single, and you watch the video, and it looks like they spent a little money on the video. Like they were thinking, hey, let's give this thing a chance. And the video is like, it's a mom and a husband and their son. And the dad is obviously abusing the kid. And I don't know if it's sexual. It seems to maybe imply that it's sexual. I'm not sure. But the mom knows that it's going on, and finally one day she decides that fuck this, I'm gonna stop it, and maybe I'll put in like some pictures of the video. If I don't, well, sorry. So the mom comes into the bedroom and points the gun, and the dad grabs her, and the gun goes flying, and the kid picks it up and shoots the dad. And the cops come and I guess they arrest the mom, because when they walk in, the mom's holding the gun, and maybe she's like, I did it, so the kid doesn't get blamed. I don't know. The song, that song, I think, is one of the most grunge sounding songs. I think there were better options for a first single. But here's the funny story about Family Picnic is I heard this. Can I verify? No, but I heard that they sent the label or the band, sent copies of this single out to some radio stations and said, or didn't say who it was. And so these radio stations are like, hey, this new band, and here's this great song, and they start playing it. But then when they find out that it's Warrant, boom, it's off. And that's when you know you're fucked. I mean, they could have released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles, and it wasn't going to get played on radio or MTV. But anyway, it's a good song, and the message is good. And at the end of the video, they put like hotline information for if you are, being abused or something like that. And I'm going to feel bad saying this, but I'm sure they meant like, yes, we want to spread this message. But you also kind of wonder if they were like trying to, well, fuck, maybe if we do this, people will give us attention and maybe it'll get played more. Do you remember the song Runaway Train by Soul Asylum? In the video, they showed all these missing kids and all their pictures. And then at the end, it was like, hey, if you're a runaway teen, if you're missing, and it gave I don't want to accuse them of doing that. Maybe I'm completely off, and I hope I just remember kind of thinking, well, maybe this is kind of a gimmick. But even if it was a gimmick, it was a good idea, and the message behind it was good. If you're getting abused, you should reach out and get help. I still don't think that should have been the first single. So I think, and I'm kind of going in random order because again, I don't have notes. I'm just talking from here, and maybe there. Fucking with you. Okay. I think if you wanted a good rock song, the songs that could have been singles are Chameleon, maybe Ride Number 2, and Ultraphobic, the title track. If you wanted a rock song, to be a single. Now, Chameleon was the first rock song that I really gravitated to. It starts off kind of slow and moody. You're almost like, is it going to be a ballad? And then it kicks in when the chorus comes. But it's super catchy. While it's not pop metal Warrant, it's definitely not grunge musically. Very melodic. But the lyrics really grabbed me. So I'm gonna give you the beginning. You always change your colors when you find yourself in a fix. And when you get yourself in trouble, you just pack your bags and split. And you're off to find a new love who doesn't know you like some do. Put on a smile like it's makeup, protection from the truth. And if you know about Jani Lane's later years, he was known for, he'd get sober for periods and then he'd disappear and go stay in a hotel and drink and whatever else he was doing. And I'm sure that was his attempt to get away from who he was. And maybe, maybe he would go party and try to relive the glory days, because I'm an alcoholic and when I would travel and go drink, you'd be like, I hope I'm going to try to be my good old fun self, because with the friends that I drank with them, they saw me so often like dark and depressed and just fucked up, and blacking out. And very rarely was I the fun guy anymore. And I apologize if I'm not trying to make this video about me, but I can't help but have that correlation. And that's how, explaining the lyrics, that's what the lyrics mean to me. So I related to, trying to get away from things and get to a new situation. And hopefully I could be the me that I wanted to be, the guy who, was fun and awesome to party with. And I feel like Jani Lane was doing that too, you know? Because you're off to find a new love who doesn't know you like some do. You know, trying to find somebody else, and maybe you can start off brand new. Anyway, and here's the part in the chorus. You better find out which road you're on. You can't change who you are by the colors you put on. You better find somebody to lean on. Make up your mind, chameleon. And, you know, man, those lyrics are just phenomenal. It's so catchy. So that's the first rock song that I remember being grabbed by. So, you know, I'm listening to this over the couple days after I buy it. And, you know, you're like, okay, Stronger Now is great. Okay, Chameleon is great. Then, Ride number 2 and Ultraphobic, to me, those are the two rock songs that sound closest to maybe they could have fit on Dog Eat Dog. You know, maybe, but the closest, you know, that you're like, okay, like they have a really crunchy guitar riffs, you know, sped up and not slowed down, doom and gloom like Family Picnic was. So Ride number 2 and Ultraphobic were also songs that I was like, you know what, you maybe could have put this on the radio, and it would have, you know, melodic, catchy, it would have grabbed people. So those are two songs that I got soon after listening to it. Now, track number 8 is called High, and it's a ballad. And fuck, they played this live in 1993. If you've seen on YouTube, there's a Janie Lane opened up a club. It was called Janie Lane Sunset Strip in Florida. And I wish I knew more information. I'd like to talk to somebody who was involved in that club. But anyway, it was open, I think, for a couple years. But when it was opening, Warrant played there. Janie's fucked up. And they play this song, High. And you can tell right then, you're like, holy shit. Well, that's on YouTube. But this, even though it's Stronger Now, I probably it's an amazing song, but Lane talked about it being the best song he'd ever written. But High is right up there with the best of Warrant's ballads. I shit you not. So High really, you know, and it's been said that this is the album that Janie wrote when he was getting over the divorce from Bobby Brown. And full disclosure, and I probably won't hear from her, but I just messaged her on Facebook because she's done some interviews. And I just said, hey, here's who I am. Here's my channel. Here's what I do. I shared a Janie Lane video with her, and I said, if you would ever want to come on and talk about your life in rock and roll. She was in so many videos and stuff. And Janie Lane, I would love to have you on. I probably won't hear from her. But anyway, this album a lot of it is about dealing with that divorce. And this song, holy fuck, is completely about Bobby Brown. So I'm going to give you some lyrics. Here's how it starts. Last night, I had a dream about you and how you fit in my naked life. Mistakes, I guess I've made a few, here and there and from time to time. Well, I know, Lord, I dreamed about it, every detail and every move, and I'm sure there's no doubt about it. I'm trying to break through to you. You know, and I mean, everybody knows, man, when a relationship breaks up and you don't want it to, you fight like hell to keep it. You know, I'm sure they probably broke up and got back together many times before the divorce became final, and maybe even after they divorced, maybe he was still trying to fix it. And this song feels like that. So here's the chorus. And all that I want is a moment of your precious time. And all it would take is let me come over to your side. Hi. And dang it, I don't want to read all the lyrics, but like here's just one more verse, and it feels like, he's trying to meet somebody else and trying to find somebody else, but every time he does, you're like, oh, I just want what I had before. So here's one more verse. I've tried several other people, came close a few times, but then it just broke down. I won't lie, I won't kid about it. Mary, come round and round. And all that I want is a moment of your precious time. And then it goes back into that. That song should have been a radio hit. It should, it should be on every Warrant playlist. That is a song. I probably go back to that song more than Stronger Now these days. Maybe it's because I played the shit out of Stronger Now back in the day. But what an unbelievable ballad. It just crushes me that more people don't know about that song. But it's telling that they were putting the ballads at the end. Hi is song number 8. Stronger Now is the last song. And, like ordinarily on albums, the ballad would be probably track number 4. It seemed like, but now it's like farther down, like they wanted people to gravitate towards the harder stuff before they got to the ballad, which whatever. And Stronger Now got a video. It wasn't fucking played. I mean, I'm sure Family Picnic wasn't played. Stronger Now, unless it was like on a local cable news network. I remember they did an interview. I think Jerry Dixon and one other, maybe it was Joey. No, it wasn't Joey, because Joey wasn't, and I didn't go into all this shit, but Joey and Steven were out, and Rick Steer and James Kotak from Kingdom Come were in the band when they wrote Ultraphobic. So anyway, the Stronger Now video, and I know I'm all over the place, but fuck it. The Stronger Now video was only Janie and Rick, but it got played. Tim Kelly from Slaughter hosted like a cable music show, and I think Jerry and somebody else went on and got interviewed by him, and they played Stronger Now. And I remember Jerry saying like, fuck, hopefully this is a hit. It wasn't, but that and High are 2 of the best ballads of the Warrant discography. Okay, so other songs, and there isn't a bad song on this album. It starts off with Undertow. Undertow has some fucking dark lyrics, and it's the lead off track. And you just, like, I always wonder what was going on with the band. Eric Turner did an interview years later where he talked, kind of openly about Lane's alcoholism, but it wasn't specifically about this time period. I think it was in the later years when they tried to get back together. But, I'm an alcoholic. So, and I know I've said that, fuck, I feel like I'm repeating myself. But, like, I know that my friends would get like, fuck, here he goes again, getting out of control, blacking out. And can you imagine? Because I'm sure I didn't party like Janie Lane, at least back in 1995. I'm sure he was getting fucked up, and they were probably having to, oh, fuck, we got to like take him home, put him to bed, whatever. Probably rambling and all this, because that's the kind of shit that I used to do. So I just wonder about the recording of this, because again, you look at the lyrics and they're so fucking dark. But the chorus of the lead-off song of the album, and the storm broke and the rain fell and the flood came, made the river swell, and the dam broke, I just let it go. I was pulled down by the undertow. Like, fuck, that is so dark. But that's a great song. And So we got, so now I wanted to talk about the songs that were important to me first, the ones that I got right away. But here's the track listing. Undertow, Super Dark. Followed is the next one. It was the third single. Again, that's not my favorite song on the album. I like it. There were better choices. Sum of One is fantastic. The chorus is unreal. Chameleon, I talked about. Number 6, Crawl Space, is one of the heavier songs on the album. If I had to rate them, that would be closer to the bottom, even though I like Crawl Space. Live Inside of You. Sounds kind of sexual, right? And it probably is. Good song. Again, maybe not my favorite, but I still really like it. Then you have High. Ride Number 2 I talked about. Ultraphobic I talked about. Stronger Now I talked about. So there's 11 tracks. It didn't even make like the top 200 on Billboard. In the United Kingdom and Great Britain, it went to like number 10 of the modern rock album, because all the fans buy it on the first week like I did, so it probably charted not on the regular, but just on the rock charts. I remember when I went to buy it at, like I said, I think it was Disc and Tape in Fargo. They had like 7 or 8 copies. I think there was a little ad saying new Warrant album, but not like you were getting when Dog Eat Dog or Cherry Pie were coming out. So when I look back at this album, it seems like Warrant's last gasp. Okay. Yes, the following year in 1996, they put out Belly to Belly. And there's some good stuff on there. And maybe one day I'll do a video about Belly to Belly. But there's also, it's dark as shit. And there's more filler. There are songs on there that you're just like, what are you doing? I don't even know. And so there's these high moments, and then there's just a bunch of low moments. So that is my least favorite album of the first 5 albums that they did with Jani Lane. So Ultraphobic, I think, is probably, like, even though the lyrics say that things were getting out of control, you I remember where the point where my drinking was out of control, but I still wasn't blacking out yet. It was like I would get really fucked up, but I was still kind of in control. Like, I feel like maybe that's what was going on with Jani Lane when he was writing this album. And then maybe on Belly to Belly, that's where fucking it was all gone. By then, I bet he's drinking every night and probably getting fucked every night. So that's just my speculation. So what else do we get from Warrant? Well, they put out, what was that? Under the Influence, which had a couple songs. Face was a great song. And there was one more, and now I fucking can't remember. There was Face and Subhuman. Subhuman was decent. You had Greatest and Latest, and there was a couple new songs on that one. The Jones was fantastic, an up-tempo rock song. Southern Comfort was great. Then there was Bad Tattoo. Bad Tattoo was decent. But they're putting out tribute albums, a covers album, and then a Greatest and Latest where they just re-recorded their shit and they put out a couple new songs. So those were the last things you were getting from Jani Lane and Warrant. Jani Lane put out one solo album, Back Down to One, that I wasn't impressed with. It's okay, but I'm just, to be honest, even though I'm obviously a huge fan, it wasn't that great. He put out an album with a band called Saints of the Underground that had Bobby Blotzer, Carrie Kelly played some guitars on it. It was okay. There was a couple good covers on it. Moonlight Mile, there was a Tom Petty cover on it, but it wasn't great. And I read Bobby Blotzer's book, and Janie Lane was fucked up during the recording of that. So to me, Ultraphobic is Warrant and Janie Lane's last gasp, and it came out right at the time where I was also starting to struggle. 6 months after Ultraphobic came out, my girlfriend got pregnant. I dropped out of college, started working full-time at the bar, started spending more time drinking at the bar than, because I was just so, my life was going nowhere near where I thought it was going to go. So if I got done bartending at 9, well, I could go home and sit with my girlfriend and my kid, which is what I should have done. It got easier just to say, you know what? All my friends are here. I started doing that, and everything fell apart. And, I got sober. I went to Iraq in 2003, got sober shortly after that. And I've always wondered why I was able to do that and somewhat conquer my demons, and Janie Lane was taken down by his. Anyway, I love this album. I still revisit it frequently. I hope that, hopefully, if you're a fan, you hopefully you got into, hopefully you liked this little breakdown that I did. If you weren't a fan, please go give it a shot and spin it more than once. Spin it a few times and really try to look at the lyrics and analyze it and look at it from the point of view of somebody who was telling you exactly what was going on in their life. And it may be the most honest record of any album that was put out by an 80s rock star, because this was Janie Lane's. He was telling you exactly what was happening. All right, that's it. Hey, tell me your thoughts, and I hope you dug this, and I hope you give that album a shot. Until the next video comes out, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care of yourselves.